Hi everyone, I'm Tori and I'm one of the primary specialists at Century, and I'm very excited to be running this lesson with you. So thank you very much for joining me. Today's lesson is on Roman numerals, and all you'll need is something to write with and something to write on. But before we get started with our lesson, I just want to tell you a little bit about Century. Now, some of you may have accounts already, but if you don't have one, then you can get one set up really easily. So we want to help you keep on learning while schools are closed. So we are offering free English, maths and science lessons. And one of the best things about Century, it uses artificial intelligence to get to know what you need to learn and how you can learn it best. And it completely personalizes your learning for you. So once you've set up an account, you can get started straight away. So parents and guardians, if you're watching as well, then all you need to do is visit century.tech/parent sign up and you'll be able to get started. Don't worry about writing this address down. You'll also be able to see it at the end of this lesson, and it's in the description below as well. So we're running these live lessons here on YouTube every day at 10, and this one is perfect for year 4. So if you're in year 4, that's great. If you're in year 3, it can be a good challenge for you. And if you're in year 5 or 6, it's always really good to have a quick recap to make sure that you've got a really good understanding. So we're going to get going with the lesson now. I'm just going to switch off my video so that it's not getting in the way of the screen. So let's begin. So we are going to be focusing on rounding. And we're going to be rounding to the nearest 10, 100 and 1,000. So what is rounding? Well, rounding a number means just making it simpler, but keeping it close to its original value. And rounding is often used to help us to estimate. And when you estimate, you're finding an answer that's close enough to the exact answer. And you often round to make a calculation easier to solve. So the answer won't be exact, but it'll be close enough. So let's start with a problem. Now, this jar of sweets contains 517 sweets. Now, we want to very quickly estimate how many sweets there would be in 3 jars. So now we could work out this exactly, but for a quick estimate, we can round the number of sweets to the nearest 100. So 517 is nearly 500. So we can say that 1 jar is approximately 500. You see this wiggly equal sign? That means approximately, so nearly 500. So now we can quickly estimate how many sweets there are in 3 jars by doing 500 times 3. And 500 times 3 is 1,500. So now we'll focus on how you can round numbers, and then you can use these rounding skills to help you to estimate. But before we begin with any more rounding, we need to make sure that we've all got a really good understanding of place value. So let's have a look at this number here, 4,375. Now this number is made up of thousands, hundreds, tens and ones. And we'll use a place value grid here to help us. So in the thousands place, we have 4. In the hundreds place, we have 3. In the tens place, we have 7. And in the ones place, we have 5. So we need to make sure that we understand where all the places are, because that's going to really help us when we're rounding. So let's begin by rounding to the nearest 10. Now we've got this number 32. And when we're rounding to the nearest 10, we need to ask ourselves, which multiple of 10 is 32 closest to? Well, 32, we know, is between 30 and 40. And we can use a number line here to help us to see whether it's closer to 30 or 40. We put it on the number line and we can see that 32 is much closer to 30. So what we'd do is we'd round 32 down to 30. Now let's have a look at another number. So this time we've got 57. Now 57 is between 50 and 60. Again, we'll put it on the number line and we can see that it's closer to 60. So we'd round 57 up to 60. Now let's have a look at these numbers again. So we rounded 32 down to 30 and we rounded 57 up to 60. We use the number lines to help us with these, but now I'm going to show you the rounding rules so that you can round any number without having to see it on a number line. Now, when we're rounding to the nearest 10, we always need to find the number in the tens place. So here we've got 3 in the tens place, but what we now need to do is actually focus on the digit to the right of this. So move to the right, and here we're now focusing at the ones. Now this digit is 2. So let's see what we do then. The rounding rules say that if the digit that you're focusing on is less than 5, then you round down. But if it's 5 or more, you round up. So 2 is less than 5, so 32 was rounded down. Now 57, we needed to find the digit in the tens place, which was 5. Then we move 1 place to the right and we focus on this digit here. Now 7 is more than 5, and that's why we rounded up to 60. So now let's have a look at a 3-digit number this time, 185. So remember, we find the digit in the tens place, that's 8, and we move 1 place to the right. So here we've got 5. And remember, if the digit is 5 or more, then we round up. So 185 rounds up to 190. So now it's your turn to have a go at rounding these numbers to the nearest 10. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And remember, you need to find the digit in the tens place, move 1 place to the right, and then apply the rounding rules. So 30 seconds, off you go. Okay, let's go through the answers now. So I'm going to use my pen to show you how you could work these ones out. So let's start with 22. So remember, we find the digit in the tens place, we move 1 space to the right, and this digit is 2. Now that's less than 5, so we would round down to 20. Now on to 78. Again, we find the tens digit, we move 1 space to the right, and we focus on this digit here. 8 is more than 5, so we round up to 80. The last one now, in the tens digit, in the tens place, we have 2. We move 1 place to the right. We're focusing on this digit here in the ones, that's 5. And if it's 5 or more, remember, we round up. So we round 225 up to 230. Very well done if you got those correct. So now let's move on to rounding to the nearest 100. We've got this number here, 4,260. Now this number is between 4,200 and 4,300. And again, we'll put it on the number line to help us, but we should also be able to round it using the rounding rules. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the hundreds digit, and then we're going to move 1 place to the right and focus on this digit. So here, this time, we're focusing on the digit in the tens place. Now this is 6, which is more than 5, so we round up. So 4,260 rounds up to 4,300. Now let's have a look at this number, 5,437. Now we'll find the digit in the hundreds place, the 4, and then we move one place to the right and we focus on this digit. Now 3 is less than 5, so we round down. So we're going to round 5,437 down to 5,400. Another example now, 8,691. So we find the digit in the hundreds place, we move one place to the right, and we're going to focus on this digit here, which is 9. Now 9 is more than 5, so that tells us that we need to round up. So we round up to 8,700. So now it's your turn, 30 seconds again, to round these numbers to the nearest 100 this time. Okay, so let's go through the answers now. Just skip, oh, we're skipping ahead here. Let's go back. We can go through the answers from here. So you should have focused on, found the hundreds digit, because remember we're rounding to the nearest 100. So you should have found that digit and then focused on the digit to the right of that. So for 2,265, the digit you were focusing on was 6, so you should have rounded up to 2,300. Now for number 2, you should have found the digit in the hundreds place, move to the right and focus on the 8. 8's more than 5, so you should have rounded up. And then onto the third one, again, found the hundreds digit, focused on the digit to the right of that. This is 3, so this time we round down. Well done if you got those correct. Now we're going to focus on rounding to the nearest 1,000. So we've got this number here, 3,567. Now this number is between 3,000 and 4,000. What we need to do is we need to find the digit in the thousands place, and then we need to again move one place to the right and focus on this digit here. So this digit in the hundreds is 5. So if it's 5, we round up. So 3,567 rounds up to 4,000. 2 more examples now. So again, we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, so we need to find the digit in the thousands place, and then we move one space to the right and focus on this digit. 3 is less than 5, so we round down to 2,300. Now 3,783, we find the digit in the thousands place, we move one place to the right. Now this is more than 5, so we round up to 3,800. So your turn now, again 30 seconds to round these numbers to the nearest 1,000 this time. Okay, let's go through the answers now. So we're rounding to the nearest 1,000. So you should find the digit in the thousands place, move one space to the right. We'll focus on this digit. This digit for the first one is 2. So we round 2,276 down to 2,000. Now, number 2. Again, we find the digit in the thousands place. We move one space to the right. This digit is 6, so we round up to 5,000. And for the third one, again, we find the digit in the thousands place. We move one space to the right. This digit is 5, which means we round up to 4,000. Very well done if you got all of those correct. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to have a look at completing this nugget on Century. So you can have a go yourself after we have finished this lesson. Now I'm going to share a different screen with you now, and you'll be able to see what Century looks like. Now, normally you'll see all of your lessons here. Your lessons we call nuggets here at Century. If you haven't got an account yet, when you begin, you will see not our nuggets, but you'll see these things called diagnostics. Now, what diagnostics do is they get to know you, they get to know what you know and what you perhaps don't yet know, and then it can help recommend the learning for you. So if you're getting a new account, when you first get started, you might see these diagnostics in your pathway. You can get started with these. Now, I don't have the rounding nugget in my pathway. So what I'm going to do is go to my courses page and find it. So I go to my courses page here, and I'm going to click on my maths course. And then here, I'm going to start searching rounding. And this is the nugget that I want us to have a go at. So when you come onto Century, you can watch the video if you want to, but if you're doing it straight after this lesson, then you should be able to go straight on to the questions, as we've covered everything in this video right here in this lesson. So we'll move straight on to the questions. Now here, we've got round 43 to the nearest 10. Now we can see this clearly on the number line, that 43 is closer to 40. But if we were doing it without the number line, we're rounding to the nearest 10. So we find the tens digit, but then we focus on the next digit to the right of that, which is 3. So we know that we need to round down. So our answer is 40. We pop that in, and then we just click submit. On to the next one now. Let's see if you can do this one. I'll give you 10 seconds to have a go before I do the answer. So well done if you had a go at that one. We're rounding to the nearest 10, so we need to find the digit in the tens place. We move one space to the right. Now this digit is 5, which tells us that we need to round up. So well done if you rounded it up and got 660. Next one now, 6,359, and we've got to round it to the nearest 100. So we need to find this digit in the hundreds place. And remember, we move one place to the right. Now this is 5, so we need to round up. So we should round up to 6,400. Now remember, when you are working on Century, you do have this I don't know button. But the best thing to do if you don't know is to return maybe to the video, or if you want to check your understanding, go to the slideshow, have a look at the example, and then you can return to the question, and always try your best before pressing I don't know. So this one here rounds 8,685 to the nearest 10. I'll just give you another 5 seconds or so to have a go at this one before we put the answer in. So remember, we're rounding to the nearest 10. So we have to find this tens digit. We move one place to the right. This is a 5, which tells us that we need to round up. So we should be rounding up to 90. So we have 8,690. Submit the answer. There we go. Now let's have a look at this one. Again, I'll give you 5 seconds or so to have a go at rounding 8,747 to the nearest 100. So rounding to the nearest 100, you should have found the digit in the hundreds place, moved one space to the right. This digit is 4, which tells us that we need to round down. So we round this number down to 8,700. This one, rounding 6,757 to the nearest 1,000. 5 seconds to have a go at this one. So rounding to the nearest 1,000, you should have found this thousands digit, focus on this digit to the right, which is 7, which tells us we need to round up to the next 1,000, which is 7,000. Well done if you got that one correct. Slightly trickier, this question. So a number has been rounded to the nearest 100, and the answer is 7,800. Which number could it have been? So let's have a look at this one. If we were rounding this number to the nearest 100, would we get 7,800? Well, I look at the hundreds digit and I'm going to move one space to the right. Now, this is 8, which tells us we will round up. So this number would actually round up to 7,900. So it can't be this one. The next one, 7,900. Well, that's already rounded to the nearest 100. This one here, again, we're focusing, we're finding the hundreds place, and we focus on the digit to the right of that. That's 5, which tells us we'd round up. So this number would also round up to 7,900. So let's check this one then. Here's the hundreds digit. It's 7. We move one space to the right. Now 7 is more than 5, so it tells us we need to round up. And yes, if we round this one up, we will get to 7,800. And one more now. See if you can do this one by yourself. There are 3 steps to this calculation. So I will give you 30 seconds to have a go at this one. Off you go. Okay, so there were a few more steps to this one. So we had 7,648, and the first thing that you needed to do was round it to the nearest 10. So find the tens place, move one to the right, and this is 8 here, which means we need to round up. So we round it to 7,650. And now we need to round this number to the nearest 100. So we find the digit in the hundreds place, and then we move one place to the right. So this tells us that we need to round up. So we round up to 7,700. And then we just need to subtract 7. This is our final step. So our answer then should be 7,693. And now that we've finished, we can view our results, and 100% here. This is very good. You can see that we have got, let me just clear our annotations off the screen from the last question. Here we go. So you can see that we have got 2 rings showing here. These don't want to clear. Let's see if we can get rid of them another way. Here we go. So you can see 2 rings here. We've got our score around the outside and also our completion in the inside. Now you always want to be aiming for a green score. This is a score above 70%. Now, if you don't quite get a green score, then I'd always recommend that you try the nugget again to see if you can improve your score. Now, if you want to keep track of all of your scores on Century, what you can do is you can come to your dashboard and you can see everything that you've been up to in this tracker here. And you can also see all of your scores on the bar chart here. So my average score is 88%. That's because I've attempted this nugget twice. And this is the average of my first and second score. So I'm now just going to change the screen that I'm sharing with you. And I'm going to show you where you can go to get an account if you haven't got one already. So if you have got an account on Century, then you can go and have a go at this nugget straight away. You will find it in the courses page, and it's called Rounding to the Nearest 10, 100 and 1,000. And if you don't, then you can ask your parent or guardian to set up an account for you. And this is the address that they'll need to go to, www.century.tech/parent sign up, and you'll find the link to take you straight there in the description of this video below. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I also hope you enjoy completing the nugget on Century as well. So thank you very much for joining, and hope to see you again in the other lessons that we're doing at 10 a.m. every day.